you got a little bit of backlash for last week's show. I don't know if you saw over the weekend, but a lot of people took issue with what you said about Dark Side of the Ring. That they're not telling the truth and it's lies. They're not talking about the happy shit, and they don't use fact checkers. They check just enough and all that sort of stuff. You got a little bit of criticism and a little bit of backlash, and people were saying, "Oh, you mean like your podcasts?" So I just wanted to give you a chance to respond if you saw any of that criticism of your comments about Darkside.
Okay, my podcasts are my facts. They're what has happened to me, and they're stories that I tell about my experiences, my actual experiences in the business. Okay. If you choose to think that they're bullshit, then choose to think they're bullshit. It's America. We still live in America, I think. And that's your right, your privilege, and what have you. As far as the dark side of the ring, I specifically was looking at certain situations where I know they had the information because I gave them the information and cautioned them against some things, and then later on they never checked, and they could have checked things out, and instead just went with the dirtiest, the sleaziest side of the story without having a balance and a counterpoint to it. Now, maybe they don't do that anymore, but the ones that I saw and the ones that I am in particular, upset about, I know that those were things that they could have come to me, and I know on a couple of them that I had specifically told them, "Hey, be careful with that because you're not getting the whole story here," and they've caused people's jobs and things like that, and creative editing. And anytime you do one of those, that the editor is the guy that's going to get the
Make or
last
break you.
laugh, if you will. Yeah, make or break
Yeah.
you. And they're going to edit in a way to make it as sensational as it can be. And as I prefaced it, in my old age, I'm getting tired of the negative. I've done a lot of negative. I've been a part of a lot of negative. And after a while, it's like, I'd rather find the silver lining
Mm-hmm.
and to put people's careers in jeopardy because of something they may have said on an interview and have it edited to fit another narrative. I don't think it's fair. And this is my opinion. These are my stories. Okay, if you don't like it, don't listen. And I'm fine with that. But this is what I've lived. I've actually done it. I've been in this business since I was 10 years old. That is 50
Yep.
years. A lot longer. I've been in the business longer than a lot of our listeners have been alive. Definitely longer than the folks that produce that television show have been alive. So trying to help them, and I did it. I did the first season. Had no idea how it was going to turn out, but I did it. You know why I did it, Conrad? I did it for the money, and I did it for the exposure. You called me, told him about him. I talked to him, and again, that's where I got to. I like the producers.
Yeah, Evan and Jason are great guys, and we got to see.
I don't like the way that their shows are edited and put together to just show negative about a business that I truly love. And I know there's a lot of negative out there. Well aware of that. But a lot of times there's two sides to stories that in the things that I'd seen, it's like, and things that are just so easy to check up on that they just didn't do. And put people in hot water. Got some people, in positions where they'll never work where they want to work ever again because some of the things that were said on that and edited in ways to make it sound horrible. But also, I just don't think that they did their homework. And they used to call me before I came back here and ask me, hey, what is there anything to this guy's story? Is there anything to this? And I said, look, that's their story. Here's another version of how it happened. But always do your homework. And my opinion, and that's all it is. And it's my show. So it's my opinion. My opinion is that I don't want to deal in the negative. I don't want to deal in things that are just blatant, out and out, wrong, bad journalism, bad television. When they had the truth and they just chose to ignore it. That's all. So I don't. Again, the human beings, I like them both,
Yeah, me too.
but I don't like. And guys, if you're listening, I told you that from day one when we sat down and you guys went through this shit, and I told you, yeah, that's not how it happened. This is how it happened, and here's what nobody else will tell you. And when you choose to go on and believe people like Dave Meltzer, who has never spent one day in this business working, he is a reporter. Great, report. But he's not an expert. He's an expert on rumor and innuendo. He's an expert on stirring shit. So when you make the choice to use him as your source, then your entire product suffers because lack of credibility from someone who has never ever worked in the business, who doesn't really know, who has only heard about certain things and only reported the things that he wanted to report because of a personal bias one way or the other. So that's all. I just was probably in a bad mood last week too, but I was probably tired and grumpy and all that other stuff. But that's all. That's all I mean. It's the human beings, got no problem with the show itself. I think went from a place of an investigative show to a place of a gotcha show, and let's see who we can tear apart, dead or alive, with rumor and innuendo. That cover?
Bruce, I want to. Yeah, it does. But I could tell as you were talking that there were at least a moment or two or a story or two that really bothered you.
Yeah.
What can you tell us what one of those were?
Well, good Lord, man. The plane ride from hell, where they took several different plane rides and presented them as one. Again, not fair, and a narrative that they were warned about. That they were warned about. Owen Hart's tragic. There's two right there.
Did you have a problem with the Gino episode? Because I felt like I remember you and I discussing something on that episode, and you were like, I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was something you were like, that's not the way that went down. I just thought when you were talking, it had to be the Gino thing, something on that.
No, it's been a few. It's really been a few, and the Gino may have been one. It's just
the vibe is off for you.
It is.
Yeah,
it is, and that may be nothing more than an old man yelling at clouds.
Right. That's
but
fair.
I'm an old man, and I have the right to yell at clouds. And I've got a podcast in which I can express my opinions and my viewpoints. And I'm sure they can express their opinions and their viewpoints too. And that's cool. And again, I enjoyed having them at my house. We had a good time. They spent several days at my house doing interviews and things. But during those times, not on camera, I was trying to help them to be wary of what you get and check it up. Check it up. Just don't take just my word or anybody else's word for it. Go get the other side. And one way or another, you're going to you'll find the truth maybe somewhere in the middle there, but it's not when it's just so obvious, and when it's a certain agenda. I don't like the agendas. That's all. And I mean, look, man, that's me. Other people may go, "Oh, goddamn, Bruce, you do it on your show." Well, you know what? It's my show, and this show isn't edited.
No, that's
So
true. No, we're live to tape.
you get us with all of our warts, and sometimes I'll say things that may be controversial, and I may say them in a flippant way in the moment because that's what I do. And it is what it is. So I invite you, and even our audience and audiences of those types of programming, before you believe that that is the absolute end all be all, do a little research. And some of it's not that difficult to do. It really isn't. When you can put up a piece of tape and realize that no, that didn't happen at all, but their reenactment of it or their editing of it makes it a completely different scenario. I don't know. Look, and it's America; it's their prerogative to do it. So have at it. You asked me if I liked the show. You asked me if I'd seen something on Marty Jannetty.
Yeah.
And then you asked me about the show, and I gave you my honest feelings on it. And it's not something that I really want to see anymore.
I think you hurt one of my friends' feelings last week with it, but you were giving your opinion, and I do want to give you props for we don't edit this show, and I know there's a dunch because sometimes you do hear a snafu, but we leave it in, and we leave it in not because we're lazy, but because we want it to be real. And I have done podcasts with other folks who call me an hour later or a day later and say, "Hey, can you edit that out?" Hey, I've thought better of that. I mean, that's happened with almost every other host except you. We just leave it all in.
Well, because and if we could do it live, we would do it live.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so we choose to do it live to tape, and we choose to leave all the fuck ups in here, folks,
Yes.
so that it can be real, so that you can get the feeling of two guys that don't always get the opportunity to speak to each other during the week. You
That's
hear
right.
us just having a conversation here during this time to give it a more genuine feel, because that is what this is. And whoever's feelings I hurt, bummer, I'm sorry. Didn't say it to hurt feelings. I said it simply as how a feeling that I have. And I think I explained why I have it
Mm-hmm.
today. And whether you know it or not, you really screwed up some people's lives in editing things and um, changing the facts around to fit your narrative that can't be undone. And that's just not fair. And it's always astonished me too that when you talk to people doing docs and doing different things, they have a narrative they want to get out, man. They want, this is the story we're going to tell. We're going to go down this avenue. Yeah, but that avenue is not nearly as good as the truth. And listen to the truth. You won't believe this shit. And they'll listen to it and go, "Oh my God, nobody would believe that. Oh my God, that's great." I said, "Yeah, that's the point." But you've never heard that side of it. And that's the real side of it and why they did things. But maybe there's a character in that story that they want to bury or that they want to burn. So they don't want to know that, hey, you know what? Maybe this character isn't as bad as they say he is if he did all this shit. But holy fuck, look at this. All these other things that happen. It's it's a narrative that everybody has a choice, man. Everybody has a choice. And I think that on some of those things, man, they had done it in the past. And when I came up here, they stopped doing it and would call me and ask me, and I would say, "Yeah, man, that's just not the way it was." And some of those things, they blatantly aired what I had cautioned them on. I didn't say don't air it. I said, that ain't what happened. and here's where you're wrong. Here's where you're confused. And they went ahead and did it their way. And
they probably would have given you an opportunity to retort if you could have appeared, though, right? I mean, I realize, that ship sailed when you went back. You can't appear on that show anymore. I get that. But they've aired a lot of point counterpoints before where someone says something and then we get another voice that refutes that, but you just weren't available to do so, right?
no, and frankly, I wouldn't do it with them. I'd do it live.
Right. Okay.
I would never. I would never give them the. I never give them the opportunity to put something on tape again. No.
Do you worry about that? Not just with Darkside, but with everyone. I mean, you've
Yes.
seen.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. There you go. You answered the question.
Big time. Because it's. I saw something at one point very recently of a documentary interview that I did, and I saw their cut. And everybody looked at me sideways and said, "Where's the question?"
Mm.
Well, people get it. I said, "No, you took it out of context. I answered a specific question in there, and then you took the first line of my answer and edited out the rest of the answer and never had the question." So it's like literally me in the middle of something, trashing someone, but yet there was no question and there was really no answer. There was me making a smart ass comment before I made the answer. So everybody does it. And that's why I will not, and again, anybody that uses Dave Meltzer as an expert, you what? You get what you pay for. And if you're going to use him, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a Wrestling Observer newsletter.